Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to me. I am Sean Jazz Vengeance Stevens. Here I am again. So I'm not in character right now. I am speaking to you as, well, I am kind of always in character. I am Jazz Vengeance, Sean Jazz Vengeance Stevens, whatever the case may be. Here I am. I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about something that's going on right now, and that's AEW. And a lot of people have asked me, this is a question I keep getting all over the place. Now, guys who've watched our video know that I've done a Q&A earlier today. I did a Q&A last week. And I get emails and questions all the time because people know that I'm not buying into the AEW thing. And I know that tonight is their pay-per-view, I think. I think it's tonight. I don't really know because I haven't really paid attention to it, much like most of the free spirit world. But anyway, people want to know why I'm hating on AEW, but yet I'm in the wrestling business. I should be supporting the AEW. Well, here's what the problem is, okay, for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you my issues with AEW. It's not even AEW. It's the premise, and it's actually not even that. It's the hype that's being built around them, that people are believing that it's going to be something that it's really not going to be. I don't honestly see it being anything huge. And I'll tell you why it's going to be a dangerous thing. Okay? Couple things. Everyone talks about this emphasis about the owner of the company, the guy who's putting all the money in, the con guy there. All right, he is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as a football team from England. Okay, English football team. They call it over there as football. So you guys who are in England who know about the football team run by Tony Khan, you guys know that football team is absolute garbage. You guys who are American football fans, I'm talking about NFL, tell me something. So the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's putting money into AEW, you guys have faith that this guy is going to be able to run a wrestling team, a wrestling show, a company. He's going to do it well and successfully where everyone else has failed. Because why? He has more money than who? Vince McMahon? Well, let me tell you. Let's take Tony Khan's successes versus Vince McMahon's successes. I'm talking about the Khans in general. I don't really know if there's another one, but here we go. The Khans. The football team over there, the football team they have in England, garbage. They have never won anything. They haven't done anything productive ever. And the football team they have over here, the Jacksonville Jaguars, tell me when they won the Super Bowl. Have they been to the Super Bowl? If they did go to the Super Bowl, did they win the Super Bowl? Will they ever win the Super Bowl? All honesty, if you want to prove to me that a person's successful in wrestling, you have to show me why. And just because the guy has a boatload of money now doesn't mean he's going to have it after this year. Because he's going to be pumping into his money into this company, right? He's going to be all these big. I'm told that these contracts that are being offered are outstanding, and the idea of AEW is that everyone's going to get the same pay and the same chances and this, that, and the other thing. So let me ask you this. I'm not watching the pay-per-view tonight, number one, because I don't have the access to it. Number two, I'm really not overly impressed. I want to hear what other people say before I even contemplate checking it out. But here's what I can tell you right now. If Adam Page, who's scheduled to, I don't know if the pay-per-view is even tonight. I thought I saw a preview for it. If it is tonight, and Adam Page is scheduled to wrestle, I think it's Chris Jericho for the title tonight, for the AEW Championship. If you want to prove that you guys are legit, going to do things differently, then you absolutely have to put the belt on Adam Page. Hangman Adam Page needs to win and defeat Chris Jericho, because if you put the belt on Jericho, then you're just cementing the fact that you're just going to do like everyone else did, like TNA. Whenever TNA got a new guy from WWE, what did they do? They came in, they won a title right away, and the guys who were already in TNA took a back seat to those guys, right? And then, they had to what happens to Impact Wrestling now? How many people watch Impact Wrestling right now? Yeah, it's still going on. Is it having problems? Hell yeah. They lost buildings, lost money, all kinds of crazy things. Now, you want to talk about a guy with a lot of money, right? Tony, this guy, Khan, has lots of money. Cool. You know what? Ted Turner has money. Ted Turner had a lot of money. In fact, Ted Turner is the guy who gave this guy his TV deal. But you know what Ted Turner also did? Ted Turner tried to start his own wrestling company. Ted Turner almost went bankrupt. Ted Turner closed WCW because he couldn't handle it anymore because it was not good. He couldn't successfully work it. He is successful in media and social platforms and whatever else, but he couldn't manage WCW. He's not from the wrestling business. He's just a money guy. Now, I understand the cons, they like the wrestling and stuff like that. It's one thing to like wrestling. It's another thing to be in the wrestling business and to do the wrestling business. Okay? So, number one, if you're basing it on the fact the guy has a lot of money right now, you can't do that, because if you guys are given all these big contracts and everyone's supposed to be getting the same pay and stuff like that, am I really supposed to expect that the women and the men are getting paid the same? I bet if I talk to some of my friends who are working for AEW, I bet they'd tell me differently. In 21 years, I've had a lot of wrestling friends in the business, up and down the road. And I'm proud of every moment, and I'm glad that those guys are doing other things, and I'm okay with what I do now, and that I'm not on the big stage. I'm quite all right with it because, frankly, I like my family's time more, and I like doing more other things rather than risking my body, my mind, and everything else. So I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with helping other guys behind the scenes and getting behind the stage and getting guys to move up the level. I'm okay with that too. That's what I'm going for. That's actually the idea of a wrestling veteran, to get the newer rookie guys up to where they need to be. And that would be my other message to AEW. If they want to successfully run this company and make it work, guys like Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and Chris Jericho, even though the Young Bucks, unless you're like, super marky and you go on there, or you really know who the Young Bucks are, then you got guys like, if you're banking on guys like, the Ty Dillinger and all those guys who are over there, then you're going to have to let those guys take the downfall and let the guys who no one's ever heard of go up, because otherwise you're not doing anything that anyone else hasn't done already. And the biggest fact is the money thing, and that's what I keep on hearing from people when they talk about why it's going to succeed, because they have a lot of money. Guess what happens when you spend a lot of money? You lose money, and if you don't earn that money back, then what are you going to do? AEW is in a building that is smaller than another area. I could tell you they're coming to Boston. They might even be in Boston tonight. I don't really remember. I don't really pay attention. But I do know that they're coming to the Boston area, the AEW, and they're scheduled to take the Agganis Arena, which is the old Boston College University Arena. If AEW is serious about competing with like the WWE, not even competing, but doing something impressive, and you're going to have a major TV deal, shouldn't you guys be booking like the Garden, the Worcester Centrum, the Providence Civic Center, or formerly known as now the Dunkin' Donuts Center, or the Wireless Center up in Manchester? Why are you booking these smaller arenas? Something to think about. If they're really confident that they're selling and they're going to catch on like wildfire, why are they booking these smaller venues rather than an actual building that the WWE does? Because I remember the challenge went out, and that's how this whole AEW thing started. And of course, Cody Rhodes is a mastermind behind a lot of this. I'm sorry, Cody Runnels, because that's his actual real name, right? Cody Runnels runs a lot of this, and I know that everyone has little hands in this. And the other thing is, if you have too many chefs in a kitchen, what usually happens to the kitchen? Usually it goes on fire, right? Too many chefs in the kitchen will spoil the soup. Well, what's going to happen when, people say, well, Cody, why are you doing that? What if Cody has an issue with someone? We don't know we know Cody has a memory. He likes to shoot on, what other companies did to him. But what's to say he's not going to do that to other people? And what experience exactly does Cody Rhodes have running a company, like a wrestling company? It's one thing to book a show and to put a thing together and put a card together. It's another thing to, advertise, to book this, that, and the other thing, to run things. Cody Rhodes, to my knowledge, doesn't have that skill set. He's a decent wrestler. He's the son of one of the greatest minds in wrestling. I love Dusty Rhodes. I have nothing but respect for Dusty Rhodes. I have nothing but respect for. I think that Cody Rhodes, good luck to him. In all honesty, I think Dustin Rhodes is probably one of the most underappreciated wrestlers in the history of wrestling. I think Dustin Rhodes is one of the greatest performers ever. I'm going to go on the limb and say that. And it's sad to see that Dustin Rhodes and Cody haven't gone on to kind of do the things that they haven't achieved. But whose fault is that? I think a lot of it comes on, the promoters booking these guys and thinking, well, if I bring this in, it's like having the real thing. It's not the case. And it's easier to say you can run a company. It's easier to say you can run a show, and it's a whole different story when you actually do it. I've actually ran some fundraising shows a few times. They're stressful. They're hard. You learn something every time you learn. Every time you do something, you learn how to fix issues you didn't even know you had before. And in the wrestling business, your trust can only go so far, because one thing is for sure: you want to get better. You want to move up in the world in wrestling. No one wants to sit on the sidelines and sit in backstage and help other guys get to the top when they're going to get their time passed up. All these promises and stuff like that. So again, I go back to what originally AEW was supposed to be about. Everyone's getting paid the same. Everyone's getting real money and all these other things. But let me ask you this. If that is the case, so why is that a thing, And I just feel that you guys putting all this emphasis, you're putting a lot of pressure on the powers to be of AEW to perform and do these things when, to my knowledge, none of these guys have ever actually successfully run a company long term. The Young Bucks used to have their own wrestling company, right? It folded. So there's that. There's also the fact, and I guess this is my problem. See, I'm an old school wrestler. When you sign a contract for someone in wrestling, you stick to that contract. And Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks had signed a multi-year contract with Ring of Honor for a number of years. And unfortunately, when this AEW thing started, it was right in the beginning, really, of when their contracts were still going on. To my knowledge, those contracts are now null and void. They've left Ring of Honor, and they're running AEW strictly. But what does that say about them what does that say about their ethic exactly? If they walked out on a company because they didn't like how things were going, does that mean like if this company's not going really well, then they're going to walk out of Tony Khan and leave him hanging there with all these people that they're bringing in, leave Jericho hanging there? And why are they putting so much emphasis on Chris Jericho? Chris Jericho is a phenomenal athlete, one of the greatest wrestlers ever, one of the best talkers. I don't care what anybody says. Chris Jericho is a talker like Jazz Vengeance, okay? In all honesty, if it wasn't for watching guys like Chris Jericho do his bits, I wouldn't be able to do my promos that I do now, okay? So all much respect for Chris Jericho, but you can't bank on one guy and a bunch of lower card guys coming together to make one company. Because let's face it, that's what AEW is. It's all the guys who are on the indie circuits or who worked for another company who are lower on the card who want to be upper on the card. That's all they are. What's different about that? And I mean, good for them trying to get something big, but get more airtime, but they've only done 2 shows so far. And like I said, they're not big sellout crowds. They're little arenas. The Agganis Arena is a college arena. And to my knowledge, all the other arenas have been college arenas. If you really want to impress me, go sell out Madison Square Garden. Go sell out the Garden in Boston. Go sell out some other arena, a big arena. Go sell out an arena that the WWE does. That's what I'm challenging you to do. Because I don't know if you can. You've been selling out like that because they're smaller arenas, guys. So, that's my problem with AEW, folks. And it's not about a personal vendetta, it's about facts. And it's about being around the business for 21 years and seeing what happens when another company comes in and they try to do something else. And I hear all these people getting so excited about this, but yet there's no backing behind it, and there's no difference between any other company that's ever come before them. So here's what I'm going to challenge people to do. Watch it when it comes on TV. If it comes on TV. It's supposed to come on, I mean, Ted Turner put it on his network again. So one billionaire is going to have a millionaire go on his show again, running a wrestling show. What's different? Because in the end, it's going to be the same result. The guy who has less money, Vince McMahon, will be the one who will be going on for the next several years. Because let me tell you something. They're going to progress, and I'm going to tell you for a fact they're going to get better. They do it all the time. WWE is going to get better, folks. I know a lot of people crap on the product or whatever, but you know what? It's going to get better. It's already starting to get better, and it's only going to get better from here. And if AEW comes in there, nothing makes them work better when they have competition. But they haven't had competition. Impact Wrestling has been around for several years, still ongoing, new. So has Ring of Honor, and it's not even on their radar. They're still dominating 3 days a week. They're going to have TNA on the USA Network. They're going to have SmackDown on the Fox Network. They're going to have Raw on continuing to be on USA Network. Where's AEW's got one show, right? So don't count your chickens before they hatch, folks. Don't cash your checks all at once, because eventually your money's going to run out. So that is the real story of wrestling, and that's how it works. And that is the words of Jazz Vengeance. So you just got jazzed by vengeance. May all your dreams come true.